All right, you guys, how is everybody doing today? So we're going to be getting into this live. This is straight from the White House. This is going to be a press conference where RFK Jr. and Donald Trump are going to be talking about what causes autism. Now, I know that we heard Donald Trump talk about this at the memorial for Charlie Kirk last night. I'm going to say this. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Operator error. I had the volume on my iPad. My bad, y'all. Cool. It's good to see some faces in here. I love you guys. I know that we saw Trump actually address that he was going to be doing this last night at Charlie Kirk's memorial. I'm going to say this right now. It seemed wildly inappropriate that he was plugging his press conference today at a memorial for Charlie Kirk. I didn't like it. I thought it was low class. A lot of other people were defending the president. I am not going to ever be somebody who glazes a politician to the point where if I think something is fucked off or inappropriate, that I'm going to go, you know what? Just respect him because he is who he is. No, if we think that somebody's doing something wrong, these people are our employees. It does not matter what level they attain in government. They still work for us, the taxpayers. They are on our dime. So if we don't like something that they're doing, if we have any type of criticism for them, we should be able to speak that freely without other people who are also taxpayers going, you shouldn't say that. These aren't gods. These aren't idols. These are people that work for us. They've been hired to do a job through an election. They get paid through our tax dollars, whether they want that money or not. I know a lot of people say, well, Donald Trump donates his money. That's cool. That's absolutely cool. That's his choice. He's still getting paid. He works for us. This is about we the people. This isn't the Donald Trump show. It was never the Joe Biden or the Bill Clinton or the George Bush show. This is about America. This country was founded for the people, by the people. So what we want is important. Now, when it came to Charlie Kirk's memorial, I wasn't going to say it during the memorial because it seemed a little tasteless and classless. I felt like he rambled. I felt like he plugged this press conference, which seemed kind of, it just seemed kind of inappropriate. Like, it didn't seem like it was the time. Like, let's keep this about Charlie, man. You know what I'm saying? Out of respect for him. Now, here's the thing. As a parent, me and Jax, Jax's kids are my kids are Jax's kids, whether they were with each other or not. I don't believe in step parents. I just believe in parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to step into that role and I'm going to be a parent and I'm going to love those kids exactly the way that I would if they came from my nether regions. That just is what it is. So we have 3 kids that are on the spectrum. So this is very important to me. I care deeply about this autism issue. And undeniably, autism is much more prevalent now than it used to be. Autism is not something that somebody should be ashamed of. Being autistic doesn't make you less than. It just, people that are on the autism spectrum experience life in a different way. And they're often misunderstood. Sometimes they view and experience social cues differently. That's okay. But it is a spectrum. There are people that are high functioning and people that have a lot more difficulty with it. So, getting down to why is there so many people that have autism now, as opposed to in the past, is very important. It's very relevant. Kyle Anderson said, my 2 boys have it. See, and Kyle, that's what I'm talking about, bro. I'm sure you love your kids and I'm sure your kids are amazing kids. But part of dealing with something like autism is it's important to understand where it came from. You know what I'm saying? It's important to understand what it is. Much like ADHD, autism can be a superpower, you guys. I know people that are autistic who can hyper focus on things and they're better at it than any neurotypical person could ever be. But we need to look into this because I also know parents and kids who have a much different experience because their child is not high functioning, and it really is disruptive and the child is not able to live their life in a normal functioning way. So we need to look at these things. It's important to understand everything in our universe. That doesn't mean that we view these people as any less than us. It doesn't mean that we demonize them. It doesn't mean that we look down on them. It just means that in understanding this stuff is important. I love everybody who is anywhere on any of these spectrums. We are all one people, and you are accepted and loved here. Yeah, and like Josh Allen said, nonverbal is sad as AF. I know people that have kids that are on the autism spectrum that are nonverbal, and they'll never be able to fully get out into the world and thrive the way that other people can thrive. And that's sad, bro. That's sad. That's not cool. I would like for them to be able to have the same level experience as us. Abby said, this study wasn't done very well. They didn't look at the siblings. There was very little control over the factors. The method is flawed. I wasn't diagnosed until 20. Autism has always been around. And so here's another thing. Abby, you are you bring up a very good point, is that in the past, were we screening for autism in an intelligent way? Or have we just gotten better about diagnosing autism? Or has it always been, is it something that's more rampant now? That's a really good point. I am going to put the chat on slow mode just so everybody knows and understands. It makes it easier. I think it makes the experience better for the people in the chat. And it also definitely makes it easier for the mods. And it makes it easier for me to be able to see what you guys are saying so that I have a better chance of catching some of the, some of these comments that aren't supered. It's really hard because the non-supered comments move so fast if it's not on slow mode. So I want to talk about something else while we're waiting. What we're doing right now is we're waiting for the White House to get out here. They're 14 minutes late right now. Is anybody shocked that a White House press conference is running late? I personally am not. They do this all the time. So look, I'm going to tell you right now, I am hearing that Jimmy Kimmel is returning to ABC. It seems that a lot of people got really upset about Jimmy Kimmel being taken off ABC, and he's returning. Looks like people started to boycott. You know what? Jimmy Kimmel said some abhorrent shit. Jimmy Kimmel, he has freedom of speech. He could sit at home. He could get on his phone. When you are on a network, when I am on YouTube, there's shit they can deplatform me for. If I come out here and I say irreverent shit, they can demonetize me. They can deplatform me. Like, they have the right to do that. So it wasn't an infringement on his First Amendment speech. Freedom of speech is the freedom from legal consequences as long as you're not breaking the law, like making terroristic threats, inciting violence, that type of a thing. But, freedom of speech does not guarantee you any sort of protections from freedom of societal consequences. So I think that's really important. Calamity said Trump made it about himself at that speech last night, and I 100% agree. Tinhead said, as a high-functioning TISM person, sometimes it sucks trying to communicate things to people because sometimes you're 15 degrees of Kevin Bacon and everyone else is sitting there going, who the F is Kevin Bacon? I completely get it. And I love you. And I just want you to know, like, you are accepted. You are not, there's nothing wrong with you for being autistic. You just experience the world in a way that we don't, bro. And that can give you more difficulties. And I understand that. And I want you to know that you're loved here. I will say this, from watching people that are on the autism spectrum struggle in prison, it becomes a dangerous thing. Because in prison, social cues equate to respect. And if you're viewed as being disrespectful to people, that's where altercations happen. And most people in prison aren't autism informed. They don't know that somebody is autistic. They just see it as disrespect. And they're like, oh, that motherfucker disrespected me, And it sucks. It sucks to see. Colleen McBride said, I was diagnosed at 31, 33 now. I have ADHD and autism with dyslexia and Dysculia. I am so sorry that I probably mispronounced that, and I don't know what it is. I'm not educated on that. I'm moderately functional. I can't drive, on disability because I can't hold down a job, but have a high IQ and run a cottage bakery. And see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You have extra things in your life that are difficulties for you, but you're high IQ and you found something that you're passionate about that you can do. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Colleen. Marcus said, got a question. I can't find enough information on it. Maybe you can. Who was Charlie Kirk's dad? I have not looked into Charlie Kirk's parents. So I'm sorry, Marcus, I would have to look into that and get back to you. I'm never going to be the guy who talks about things that he doesn't know, though, because I think that a lot of people do that. I think especially and particularly a lot of men. Men tend to feel like there's something wrong with saying, man, I'm not educated. Let me get back to you. I'm always going to be that dude, though. When we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel and him coming back, I mean, he got spanked. You know, it is what it is. I personally don't find him funny. I think he's kind of irrelevant. I can tell you right now, just like right off top, he gets about 120,000 views per episode, which puts him, let's see, 3,200,000 views per month. Here we get an average, a baseline average on a low month. We get 100 million views per month here in this community. On a high month, it's way more than 100 million. So we get more views and more watched hours. We have 1.2 million hours of content watched on this channel. I think Jimmy Kimmel is irrelevant. I think he sucked when he was on The Man Show. I think Adam Carolla entirely carried that show. I don't like the guy. I don't understand why I think he's super mayonnaise mid, just goes with whatever's politically correct at the time. And I think he panders to his audience. And I think that's what led him to getting taken off the air temporarily. You know, they said it was an indefinite suspension. So that could mean 2 days or that could mean forever. Apparently he's coming back from what I'm hearing. I will continue to not watch him, but I wasn't watching him before. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that he should get his shit back? JD, how much shard do you smoke today? I don't smoke shard. You're an idiot and you are going away. You can't even spell productions. What a fucking retard, dog. Holy shit. Do I look like I'm smoking fucking meth, bro? Like, look, you don't smoke meth and retain your muscle mass, you fucking mental midget. The fuck is wrong with you, dog? Irrelevant one said, forgiveness of your enemies is to acknowledge the state of peril all our souls are in. It's not absent nor abdication of accountability for wrongs. And no, Erica Kirk forgiving the person who assassinated her husband was, I believe, in my heart, because she felt like it was what she needed to do per, her religion. She's a Christian, so was Charlie. It's what Charlie would have wanted, I believe. And she was following what she needed to do. You could see the rage in her eyes. Now, I'm going to let you know when I started my personal journey into recovery and to becoming a better person that's gotten me where I am today. I had to forgive the person who molested me when I was 6 years old. And it was more about forgiving the situation than forgiving the person. Like, the person's never, if I saw the person, it's not like that person would have a place in my life. It's not like I would walk up to them without resentment and be like, hey, it just is letting it go, bro. And I think it was also equally important for her to do that, considering we are on the teetering brink of having more acts of violence, political violence in this country. And I think she was trying to steer us and veer us away from that. The right has been trying to veer us away from political violence while the left is trying to propel us into political violence. You see all these far left influencers every day on here telling you to get your weapons and get ready to go to war. There's Nazis, there's fascists. We need to fight. They're going to end up causing, and it's not going to be them that are going to get hurt, and they know that. And there needs to be societal consequences for that. I believe there needs to be legal consequences for that as well. And I think that was people on the right, Erica Kirk particularly, making a plea and a show to the American people not to get violent. I think there was more behind that besides just the moral implications. V's damn horse rescue. Can we give love to Mr. Beefy in the chat, please? His parents are dying. He's alone. He needs love. Mr. Beefy, I'm so sorry to hear that your parents are dying. I'm intimately acquainted with losing close family members. And I'm sorry. I know that's difficult, but you're not alone. You're loved here. You're among people who love you. Huge love and respect to you. And thank you so much, V. We love you. Daddy Wolf. My mom has autism and she's 69. Also, I may have it and my kids have some sort of spectrum. I guarantee you that this goes way back. Much love, family. Much love to you too. And so I think that like when we're looking for a cause for something like autism, I don't think that I think there's probably genetic and environmental factors, you know, and it could just be, honestly, a really good point was brought up that we may just not have been actually advanced enough to diagnose these things. Remember, all of these mental disorders and neurodivergencies back in the day, they just thought you were possessed with demons or you had evil spirits, you know, like, it's only been, it's fairly recent that we've been diagnosing these types of things. Isabella Ironblade said, hey, JD, Shrebet is pronounced trebuchet. Thank you for giving me the pronunciation. But it's a medieval war machine. I got to look that up. That sounds sick. Carly said, can't stand Jimmy Kimmel. Same. I thought he was I didn't understand why he had a spot on the Man Show. You know, he didn't seem very manly and he didn't seem funny to me. And now I'm just shocked that he has a more successful career than Adam Carolla, who was actually funny. The Codfather, what's up? I'm on the Asperger's spectrum of autism, and it's kept me from pursuing my childhood dream of joining the military, and I still deal with depression. I'm with you, and I understand, and I'm sorry that it has caused you those extra difficulties and boundaries in your life, and that's why I think it's important that we get down to being able to understanding it. I'm not advocating that we, go and try to, I think that the left is really going to make this a thing where they're saying that we're trying to eliminate people with autism. And they're going to start talking about rounding people up into camps and all this shit. I want to make it very clear. I have 3 kids that are on the spectrum. I love them very fucking much. I want to understand it better so I can be better equipped to be a better parent to them. I think we can all agree that that would be a good thing. Daddy Wolf said, Jimmy had his pink rubber tire out by Diddy. Oh, the pink rubber tire. They blew his spokes, you guys. Hey, real quick, let me ask you guys, can anybody tell me how is the audio? Please tell me how the audio is. Am I blowing out the audio? Is it in a good range? I can't hear myself through the headphones. So if you guys could just let me know, I would appreciate it. It's good, clean as hell. Thank you so much. So for those of you who don't know, we had my homeboy, my good friend Doc, came out. He is going to be a producer on lives when we have a lot going on and we need a producer. He's also editing videos for me now, and he helped me get the studio set up a whole lot better. And as if he knew we were talking about him, he just messaged me that he just finished. We're doing a full length on Hassan, Diddy Party, Hamas, Hezbollah, Baby Oil Piker, because we really need to get that dude. That dude needs to be taken off the internet. That dude probably needs to be in a federal prison immediately. And we've got a full length coming out. I'm going to present to you guys my argument on why I think he needs to be getting rammed in and wallered out in a federal prison. Surprised Camp, do you think the public will take this speech well, or do you think people will disagree? I think people are going to disagree. I think, so there's nothing that, look, man, I'm not a supporter of any politician, but I don't think there's anything that Donald Trump could do at all whatsoever that they're going to, there's going to be people that are going to, he could cure cancer and people would be like, he's Satan, he's the devil. So I think there's going to be a lot of controversy around it. Roman Wolf Gaming, good to see you. JD, Disney did it for Kimmel to get views, is my theory. Well, he needs them views. So all publicity is good publicity. It turns out that it's widely speculated. You guys remember just recently, Cracker Barrel did a rebrand and everybody flipped out. Well, it was only 30 stores that they were already planning on closing. So I think they might have done something just to up their customers, and it absolutely worked. So, I think maybe American Eagle had done that with Sydney Sweeney. They did something they knew was going to cause major controversy, and they did it on purpose to sell more jeans. It's a thing that works these days. I know when people were trying to cancel me for my Florida Around and Find Out t-shirt, because it happened to be around the same time as Alligator Alcatraz opening, I sold so much of that fucking shirt because people were like, you're not going to cancel JD. That shirt's dope. He's not celebrating concentration camps. He's putting out cool shit, and you people are retarded. So we're going to support him. And I thank everybody who supported me through that. I've still got a couple of liberal prison content creators who are stuck up their own asses who talk shit about me on a routine basis. And they're weapons grade retards. Their lives are miserable. I just ignore them, but I know they put out videos every day about me. And what a sad, pathetic little life. That, goddamn, Bo, get some of your own content. They're weird. They're weird for that shit. Nee, forgiveness is the greatest feeling in the world. You can do it for your own soul. Nothing beats putting the past behind. Facts, dude. It was so quintessential in my healing and in me becoming the person that I am today. Abby said you can literally trace the tism up the family tree. That family tree. Hell yeah. Drone shenanigans. My guy, Bill, my dude, it's so good to see you, man. I can't wait to hang out with you. I'm not announcing yet on the internet. Well, hell, why not? This is my friend Bill. My friend Bill helped me get clearance to be able to go back into the Oregon prison system. It's taken a while. I've applied through several different venues. This is my third attempt at applying. And because Bill works at the same place that I'm doing my community service for my DUI from 2013, that I never took care of like an adult and I'm dealing with now. Bill, since he's already a volunteer and he knew the right people, he was able to get me clearance to be able to go into prisons. And this week I get to go back into Oregon State Penitentiary, the only maximum security prison in the state of Oregon, the oldest prison in the state of Oregon. It's the old school penitentiary where I spent 2 years of my life. And I get to go in and talk to men that are getting out soon, give them some sort of vision of hope with my dude Bill, who does the same. That's his mission too, because Bill has done time. And I am so excited about that. I'm so glad to have you here with us today, Bill. Colleen said, I describe my okay, there, she spelled it out. Dyscalculia as math dyslexia. I have that. Self-diagnosed. I didn't even know there was a word for that. I am super bad with all the math, bro. I love you, Colleen. Thank you for letting me know that. That name. I'm surprised YouTube lets that name slide, homie. Go F yourself. I have dyscalculia too. It's dyslexia with numbers, rarely diagnosed. They thought I was special ed in school and failed out of college because of it. I genuinely think that I have that, you guys. And go F yourself. I love you. Colleen, I love you. Dark Helmet. After the Charlie Kirk memorial yesterday inspired me to quit smoking, cut down on my drinking, and going to start to the gym. Love you, brother. I think Charlie would be so stoked to know that he had a positive influence on you like that. And I want you to know that I'm genuinely and sincerely proud of you, my brother. Hell yes. Immerin. Day one right there. Love you, Bubba. Just because we give you medicine to cure a sickness, that does not mean that we hate people who are sick. Leftists being stupid as usual. Trump could cure cancer tomorrow and they would spin it. You are 100% correct, my guy. That is 100% to the point, factual and correct. I love you, dog. And we got Fact Seeker 21. I don't actually know if I'm autistic, But I've been told by my therapist back when I was independent, living at 17, I should get checked out, but I'm scared to lose my Second Amendment rights. Do people with autism lose their Second Amendment rights? I don't believe that's a thing. I recently researched this, and there was nothing in the DSM-5 that they said the only way you can lose your Second Amendment rights, they said, was if you are deemed mentally defective under like a 5150 situation. You know how I have 5150 tattooed across my stomach? That's if you are a danger to yourself or others, and you have to be involuntarily put on a hold for being a danger to yourself or others. So I don't think that should be a big concern. Nee said, release the files. That's all I'm saying about the political world right now. Right there with you. Right there with you, homie. Thank you for bringing that reminder in. Woogie said, I watched your live yesterday and watch you as soon as you upload. Thank you so much for being here, homie. Your content and outlook on a better life have helped me stay clean. Forget the haters. We love you, man, and appreciate you, bro. God bless. God bless you too, my friend. And thank you so much for the positivity, the support, and the kindness. Gravita, love you. Thank you. Pork Chop Express. I didn't get one of the cool useful-tisms. I got the 80s movie reference one. I love you, dog. Hell yes. Biddy Boo Brown. Hello, JD, and all. Much love and hugs to you all. Huge internet hug to you, Biddy. Appreciate you being here. Salty said, off topic, but we always joke about what happens to these people in prison. What do you actually think will happen to Charlie Shooter after being convicted in Utah prison system? I have a full length coming out that is going to go into depth about that. But I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be good, Salty. It's not going to be good. And I explained the whys and my predictions of what are going to happen. I will tell you this. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's going to be on death row, so nobody will be able to get to him. Utah doesn't do that. They did up until 2021. Then they integrated their death row back into their general population. So he's going to go in there with the sharks, the gang members, and the other killers. And he's soft as baby shit. Mr. Peace, dude, thank you so much. That support is so big. It helps out so much. I can't tell you. I love you, bro. Serious Talk, JD, you are an example of power of change and forgiveness. From Montana and a retired Marine sniper and trucker and farmer. Oh, dude, thank you for your service. Hoo-ah. And trucker and farmer, that's incredible, bro. You are the backbone of this country. God bless you and the work you do, and God bless Charlie. Cheers, brother. Cheers to you, man. Bottoms up, pinkies out. Honestly, bro, love you, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your sacrifice for this country. Get your cray on. Will you please cover Cyrax and get him busted because he's a pedophile on here? I am going to be looking into Cyrax. Absolutely will do that. Imran, I don't think a lot of right-wing people actually call for violence. Even Nick Fuentes specifically mentioned, along with Crowder, that it's mainly about self-defense to be safe out there. I don't see calls to violence from the right. I see calls to violence from the left. Every day. Every day. And the weird thing is a lot of them are elected officials. And that should be an instant disbarment from any position that you're in my opinion. If you're calling your constituents to commit violence against any other American citizen, I think you should immediately be fucking removed. Regardless of what side you're on. You should be out, dude. Tinhead. No, you do not lose your 2A rights. I have loads of freedom toys. Freedom toys! That's sick, dude. Yeah, thank you for confirming that for me. That's what I thought. Jim Hook, love you and appreciate you, Bubba. Joel, JD, I love you, my autistic plop. Yes! Yes! So you guys know that I have a shirt that says it is what it is what it tism. That shirt is just a shirt of showing support since me and Jax have, 3 kids on the spectrum. We love our autistic homies here, bro. And we love our plops and our pepperbacks here as well. Imran said, and just to be clear, I don't like Fuentes. Fuentes is one of those people who I absolutely have disdain for some of what he says. A lot of what he says I think is disgusting. And then sometimes, and I mean occasionally, he says some shit that's mad based. And that's how I feel about most people, dog. I don't think most people echo my sentiments all the time, but I respect differences. Like, and I know that he was trolling, but when he said that shit, your body, my choice, bitch, I felt like that was something that could incite people towards sexual violence. And I probably would have wanted to slap the shit out of him. If I saw him in public, I'd have been like, hit me, bro, hit me. If he hits me, I can hit him. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, there's a lot of people I can agree to disagree with. Gravita, did the Charlie Kirk tragedy and the negativity the left spilled make you pay attention to some Kirk opinions and maybe change some of your mind? Okay, hugely, because I had seen enough of Charlie Kirk to where I didn't think he was racist. I didn't think he was transphobic. I didn't think he was homophobic. I thought that I would disagree with him on a lot more things than I did. But hearing all the negativity from the left really made me go back and watch him and pay closer attention, because I wanted to see, because I know they be lying on people, bro. I know they do. And there's really only one major thing I can point to that I disagree with Charlie Kirk on. And that's that if a 10 or 12-year-old girl gets raped, or anybody gets raped and they get pregnant, that they should have to carry that child to term. And I understand he's doing it out of strictly religious beliefs, but I believe there needs to be compassion for victims. And they shouldn't have to, because in most states, the rapist is going to still have 50-50 parental rights. And I don't think a lot of people understand that legally that's how that works. And I don't think anybody who gets raped should have to carry their rapist child. It just seems hugely inhumane to me. And I would have debated the man respectfully about it. And I'll bet you we would have had a great debate. I never would have wished the man harm, ever. It's crazy. Mr. Peace. Dude, I love you so much, dog. Thank you. I'm humbled, bro. Absolutely humbled. I ain't done yet, sir. Folks that see the truth and reality in the world we live in need to band together. We can never fight hate with violence till the day comes when words fail us and the other side refuses to listen. At 65, I don't have patience for stupid. Dude, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that more than you could possibly understand, dude. And I 100% agree with you. I denounce political violence. You know, we talk a lot about the wood chipper here, you guys. So a lot of people might think that I'm, you know, a radical, violent type of dude. I abhor violence. I've seen violence. I've perpetrated violence. I have hurt people. I didn't like the person I was when I was going around hurting people. What I want to see when I say things like wood chippers, I want to see public executions done legally with due process. I believe everybody deserves due process, but I don't want to see people raping kids, getting probation, getting out, raping kids, getting a little county jail time, getting out, raping kids, and then going to prison for a short amount of time. And they just ruin lives. There's a trail of ruined lives. So to me, when I say wood chipper, I would love to see them publicly executed in really brutal ways that sends a very strong message. But I'm not encouraging people to go out and kill each other over things like political differences. It's crazy to me, man. The left has lost their shit, man. Fact seeker, think it depends, but I think you're right for now. Love you, buddy. James Ellis, God bless you, my American cousin. I'm so rusty with my Gaelic, bro. I'm not gonna try. I'm so rusty. James Ellis, God bless you, and it's amazing that you are keeping up with your Gaelic. That's dope, bro. Punished Irwin, love you, man. Michael Mara, my oldest son has autism. He's the smartest, most thoughtful, and loving person. I'm so blessed to have him as a son. Aiden, Dad loves you. And that's how I feel about all three of our kids that are on the spectrum, bro. Just amazing, beautiful souls. Let's see. Elijah Avila. Finally, I will understand why I like trains so much. Dog, one of my favorite TikTokers of all time is really heavy on the autism spectrum. And what he does is he will stitch, like girls will be like, you want to know how to make a girl wet? And he'll be like, he'll just pop on screen and go, no. And then he'll start talking about his favorite dinosaur or his new model train. And it's so sick, dog. It's so sick. Like, he's my favorite TikToker of all time. I forget his name. I haven't seen one of his videos in a minute. But people that are autistic are a wealth of knowledge and information about the shit that they are interested in. And as somebody with ADHD, I understand, because I can only pay attention to shit that bricks me up, dog. That shit that makes me mentally stimulated. Wyatt Anderson, being autistic does not disqualify you from buying and owning guns. Which is lucky since I got the pew-pew-tism like Brandon Herrera. Nice Brandon Herrera reference, my guy. Hell yes. Big love to Brandon Herrera. Hey, anybody who could do anything, if you don't live in the 23rd District of Texas, but you believe in things like our Constitution, you believe that people have the right to defend yourself, you believe in common sense, just maybe even if you just drop it in a comment section, where somebody's talking about something, just educate people about Brandon Herrera. He's running in the 23rd District of Texas for Congress. He ran last term, and he only lost by like 400 votes. And Tony Gonzalez, who moans when he wipes, and probably has bad shit on his hard drive, and refuses to debate with Brandon, because he knows that Brandon will mop him up. Sunk millions and millions and millions of corporate dollars into his campaign, and Brandon did a grassroots funded campaign. He's doing the same thing this time because he doesn't want to owe these maggots any money and any favors when he gets in there, because he is only going to answer to the American people and the people of Texas. Imran, big agree. The fact that Fuentes sounded reasonable after Kirk's death shows how crazy the left has become. Facts, dude. I'm not saying I like the dude, but I'm saying he's not always wrong. And I find myself agreeing with him, and I always cringe a little when I do, but the dude says some shit that's mad based, bro. Abby says, if the government were autistic, they'd be on time. There's a huge fact right there. If they were ADHD, they'd be late like they are. Canucks fan, as a man in his 30s who has been diagnosed with high-functioning autism for most of his life, I would give anything for a cure. See, and there's people that land on both sides of that fence. And me not being diagnosed on the spectrum, I don't feel qualified to speak on it. So I love hearing voices of people that are actually on the spectrum and how they feel. Let me know in the chat if you have autism and you're here tonight with us, or today with us. Please let me know if you could remove your autism. If they came out with a cure tomorrow, would you want to keep it and remain, or would you want to get rid of it? Please let me know, you guys. Foxglow, you've bounced back this far and even found a dope lady named Jax. Truly, the Lord has forgiven this man. The Lord has blessed me and given me grace beyond any measure. And I try not to get heavy into the God stuff with you guys, but anytime I think about how blessed I am, I have to just give the glory and the credit to God, because honestly, bro, I shouldn't be here right now. I should be dead. I should be in prison. And the fact that I was given grace, really, it comes to me, it comes with a responsibility to honor that grace and honor that blessing. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, man, is spend the rest of my life trying to live up to what I've been given. So thank you so much. I love you. Donnie Drum, as a high-functioning tistic, I found myself doing algebra accidentally, but my preservations are assets in my spooky business, so much so my skills are working with an actor for a con next month. That's killer, dude. See, your neurodivergence, whatever it is, can be a superpower. It looks like they're gearing up here, you guys. Brendan, thank you so much. Jacob, much love right back to you. Nathanson, Ecclesiastes, there's time for everything, bro. Love you. All right, you guys, we are going to jump in here and we're going to hear from the President of the United States.
20 years, actually. And it's not that everything's 100% understood or known, but I think we've made a lot of strides. Wish it was done a long time ago. Today, we're delighted to be joined by America's top medical and public health professionals as we announce historic steps to confront the crisis of autism. Horrible, horrible crisis. I want to thank the man who brought this issue to the forefront of American politics along with me. And we actually met in my office, is it like 20 years ago, Bobby? It's probably 20 years ago in New York. I was a developer, as you probably heard, and I always had very strong feelings about autism and how it happened and where it came from. And he and I don't know, the word got out, and I wouldn't say that people were very understanding of where we were, but it's turning out that we understood a lot more than a lot of people who studied it, we think. And I say we think because I don't think they were really letting the public know what they knew. Thanks as well to the director of the National Institute of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty McCary. These are great people. Administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, and Acting Assistant Secretary of HHS, Dr. Dorothy Fink. So thank you all. Thank you, Dorothy, very much. The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that.
Is it that there weren't that many kids with autism or we weren't diagnosing it?
It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31, but in some areas it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California where they have for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000 and 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys, 1 in 31 overall. So since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000 to 10,000 and then you go to 12, there's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. Does that tell you something?
Do you think he's talking about the Quakers and the God? Why can't I think of it? The people that like the uber religious people that think God is going to just heal their shit. They don't go to the hospitals.
Currently, is that a correct statement? By the way,
there are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah.
The Amish, yes.
I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians.
So here's the thing, though, is if the Amish don't go to traditional Western medicine doctors, like, how would they even get diagnosed? It seems like that would create a situation and an environment where you don't have people on the spectrum because nobody's gotten diagnosed.
Physicians at the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen acetaminophen. Is that okay?
Does he not know how to say acetaminophen?
Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
So I just looked it up, and there's multiple studies that will tell you straight up, yes, autistic people exist in Amish community despite myths to the contrary. Research confirms the autism spectrum disorder is present in the Amish population. There's multiple studies pop up immediately.
For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health. In other words, a fever that's very, very dangerous, and ideally a doctor's decision, because I think you shouldn't take it. And you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire. And you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol every time he's born and he goes and has a shot. You shouldn't give a Tylenol to that child. All pregnant women should talk to their doctors for more information about limiting the use of this medication while pregnant. So ideally, you don't take it at all. But if you have to, if you can't tough it out, or if there's a problem, you're going to end up doing it. The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. It's a disgrace. I don't see it. I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little child, little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in. So
like, look, I've always been sketched on vaccines long before it was cool to be sketched on vaccines. 80 vaccines in a baby's body is a lot, but you have to realize, like, these vaccines are for some serious shit, bro. Like, there's shit that we don't see anymore, and you don't even really hear about it. I don't want my kid to catch some old-timey shit. Spacing them out might be appropriate because they do independent studies on each of these vaccines, but they don't do studies very regularly on what mixing these vaccines all together might actually make for different side effects. And Shane Butler said, hey, JD, I have level 1 autism, ADHD, and ODD. And don't let it be an excuse to act like an ass. And I act normal. I just want the best for America and don't feel the safest with crazies, wood chippers. Hey, I love you. And that is amazing. It's important that we all take accountability for who we are and what we do, regardless of what types of diagnosis we may have. I know that some of us have more setbacks than others, but, you know, there's ways we can regulate some of those things, and we all are just doing the best we can as human beings. Well, most of us. Some of us are just doing the best we can as a human being. And Shane, it's obvious that you are. I love you, brother.
Ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol. And on the vaccines, it would be good, instead of one visit where they pump the baby, load it up with stuff, you'll do it over a period of 4 times or 5 times. I've been so into this issue for so many years just because I couldn't understand how a thing like this could happen. And it's artificially induced. It's not like something that when you go from all of those, healthy babies to a point where I don't even know structurally if a country can afford it. And that's the least of the problems. To have families destroyed over this is just so terrible. I also and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel the mumps, measles, and all the three should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it for a while, it really was bad. So they make chicken pox. Individually, they're okay. When you mix them, something maybe happens. So there's no downside in doing it. It's not like, oh, if you do it, bad things. No, it's only good side. And it may not have that much of an impact, but it may have a big impact. So let those be taken separately. And then hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B.
I see a lot of people mentioning aluminum, which has been linked to dementia and Alzheimer's. And that is something that I'm deeply concerned about because I use aluminum deodorant. And I know the studies, but I've tried using deodorant that's non-aluminum, and I'm a stinky bitch, and I don't like to smell myself without aluminum deodorant. So I share in that concern, you guys. I wanted to just stop real quick and just mention that because multiple people had said it.
And I think if you do those things, it's going to be a whole different, it's going to be a revolution in a positive sense in the country. The FDA will be updating the label of an existing drug to reflect potential benefits in reducing some autism symptoms. This gives hope to the many parents with autistic children that it may be possible to improve their lives. That's one of the things that I'm very, very happy about. I mean, this was mostly going to be on how not to have the child affected, but we've learned some pretty good things about certain elements of genius that can be given to a baby, and the baby can get better. And in some cases, maybe substantially better. Not going to be easy, but be a lot easier if it didn't happen in the first place, as these great parents fully understand, right? They fully understand. I feel so terribly for. I have so many friends with autistic children. It's a tough situation. Finally, to help reach the ultimate goal of ending the autism.
Did he say they can reverse autism? That they have something in the works to reverse autism? That would be fucking crazy, dog. That would go wild. There are a lot of people who would be very interested in that. Even just reducing some of the symptoms to help people become more high functioning. There are a lot of people who would love that.
Autism fever, the NIH will be announcing 13 major grant awards from the Autism Data Science Initiatives. And to be honest with you, to me, that's the least important. It's not even a money thing at this point. There's so much money, but they have to do, and they have to move quickly. When the alternative is that nothing bad can happen, let's do it now. I was just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that. And as you know, other of the medicines are absolutely proven bad. I mean, they've been proven bad with the aspirins and the Advils and others, right? And they've been proven bad. So I'd like to ask Bobby to get up to the podium and say a few words, and then Dr. Bhattacharya. And
yeah, I'm really interested to hear from the doctors more than the politicians. I want to hear from the experts, not people who are like experts at building and politics. I want to hear from doctors. Are you guys agree? Let me know in the comments if you agree.
Dr. McCary, Dr. Oz, Dr. Fink, followed by two incredible mothers that have experienced firsthand what this country is going through, what parts of the world are going through. And I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism. Okay, tell me about that one. And there are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism. That tells you a lot. And I want to say it right now. And you know, the way I look at it, don't take it. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. So I'd like to ask Bobby to come up and say a few words. I hope I didn't ruin his day, but that's the way I feel. I've been very strong on the subject for a long time. You know, life is common sense too. And there's a lot of common sense in this. And I wish things like this were brought up. And this group has worked so hard on it. But I'd like to be a little bit more, a little speedier in the process of a recommendation, because there's no harm in going quicker. There's absolutely no harm. At worst, there's no harm. Thank you very much, Bob.
Bro, Vulture just said Tylenol is a Tylenol. Ah!
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. To meet the president's challenge, I ordered HHS to launch an unprecedented all-agency effort to identify all causes of autism, including toxic and pharmaceutical exposures. At President Trump's urging, NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS are turning over every stone to identify the etiology of the autism epidemic and how patients and parents can prevent and reverse this alarming trend. We have broken down the traditional silos that have long separated these agencies, and we have fast-tracked research and guidance. Historically, NIH has focused almost solely on politically safe and entirely fruitless research about the genetic drivers of autism. And that would be like studying the genetic drivers of lung cancer without looking at cigarettes. And that's what NIH has been doing for 20 years. As a result, we don't have an answer to this critical question, despite the cataclysmic impact of the epidemic on our nation's children. We are now replacing the institutional culture of politicized science and corruption with evidence-based medicine. NIH research teams are currently testing multiple hypotheses with no area off limits. We promise transparency as we uncover the potential causes and treatments, and we will notify the public regularly of our progress. Today, we are announcing two important findings from our autism work that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions.
So every time that we hear from RFK, there's people in the chat who ask, why does RFK sound like that? RFK has a brain thing going on where he actually had brain worms from eating some weird shit, because RFK has always been a hunter, and he eats shit like roadkill. If he sees it on the side of the road and it looks fresh, he eats it. Apparently some worms got into his brain. It is a thing that he can't control. And he's kind of like, but you know, he's a smart dude. It just is a brain to throat issue. So let's not, in the spirit of not being fucked up to people who have, you know, brain disorders going on, let's not clown the dude for it.
First, HHS will act on acetaminophen. The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggest a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, including later diagnosis for ADHD and autism. Scientists have proposed biological mechanisms linking prenatal acetaminophen exposure to altered brain development. We have also evaluated.
Rachel said, dude is a drug addict, like actually. So if you mean in the sense that people can never recover from drug addiction, RFK, like 40 years ago, was a drug addict who was addicted to heroin. And he's been in recovery for 40 years. He still goes to a meeting every single day. And I would think that that would be a thing that would be inspiring to people, that somebody could have sustained recovery for over 40 years. The dude doesn't drink. The dude doesn't smoke. The dude has been just in sustained recovery that he works on every single day. As somebody who is a drug addict myself, who has over 6 years clean, I think that's inspiring personally. So I don't know why you want to like shoot smoke to them. I hope that's not what your intention is. I think it's great that people can have adversities and recover. I think those are the stronger stories than people who have never had to work through anything in their lives. Myself, personally.
The contrary studies that show no association. Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change. HHS will launch a nationwide public service campaign to inform families and protect public health. FDA also recognized that acetaminophen is often the only tool for fevers and pain in pregnancy, as other alternatives have well-documented adverse effects. HHS wants, therefore, to encourage clinicians to exercise their best judgment and the use of acetaminophen for fevers and pain in pregnancy by prescribing the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration and only when treatment is required. Furthermore, thanks to the politicization of science, the safety of acetaminophen against the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in young children has never been validated. Prudent medicine, therefore, suggests caution in acetaminophen use by young children, especially since strong evidence also has associated it with liver toxicity. Some studies have also found the use of acetaminophen in children can potentially prolong viral illnesses. FDA will drive new research to safeguard mothers, children, and families. In addition to a possible acetaminophen connection to autism for pregnant women, infants, and toddlers, our research has revealed that folate deficiency in a child's brain can lead to autism. We have also identified an exciting therapy that may benefit large numbers of children who suffer from autism. Peer-reviewed literature has documented that up to 60% of folate-deficient children with ASD can have improved verbal communications if given leucovorin. I have instructed NIH, FDA, and CMS to help doctors treat children appropriately. Jay will help tell that story, which started with sound science, the kind that restores faith in government. This announcement also represents a historic collaboration between NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS. We expect this to be the first of many announcements over the coming years that deliver actionable information to parents on underlying cause of autism and the potential paths for prevention and reversal. Autism is a complex disorder with multifactorial etiology. We are continuing to investigate a multiplicity of potential causes with no areas of taboo. One area that we are closely examining, as the president mentioned, is vaccines. Some 40 to 70% of mothers who have children with autism believe that their child was injured by a vaccine. President Trump believes that we should be listening to these mothers instead of gaslighting and marginalizing them like prior administrations. Some of our friends like to say that we should believe all women. But some of these same people have been silencing and demonizing these mothers for 3 decades because research on the potential link between autism and vaccines has been actively suppressed in the past. It will take time for an honest look at this topic by scientists. But I want to reassure the people in the autism community that we will be uncompromising and relentless in our search for answers. We will perform the studies that should have been performed 25 years ago. Whatever the answer is, we will tell you what we find. We are researching this issue to all 3 agencies. Jay will discuss one of our research initiatives at NIH. This model of unleashing unbiased, depoliticized, gold standard scientific research and academic freedom to deliver actionable information to prevent and reverse disease will be a model for the framework to deliver similar results for many other chronic conditions that plague Americans. Jay?
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy, and thank you, President Trump.
Thank you very much.
I'm proud to announce today that the NIH has launched the Autism Data Science Initiative to turbocharge autism research, devoting an additional $50 million to the cause of studying autism. Nearly 250 research teams from across the country applied, sent in their applications, and were peer-reviewed by the NIH review panels. The NIH peer reviewers chose the 13 best projects focused on root causes and therapies, with replication and validation studies to guarantee gold standard science. The studies feature a new kind of science called exposomics, where scientists consider environmental and medical factors, nutrition, events during pregnancy, in combination with biology and genetics to answer vital questions about autism. Science like this, conducted in partnership with families and physicians, is the best way to arrest and reverse the autism epidemic. Autism spectrum disorder encompasses a very wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild difficulties with social interactions to profoundly autistic children who experience severe disabilities in speech and behavior. Given this wide range of symptoms across the spectrum, it seems certain that there will be a wide range of biological contributors to explaining the cause. The great thing about the new NIH initiative on autism is that scientists will use rigorous advanced methods in causal inference, machine learning, organoids, and other fresh approaches to the problem. The sharp rise in the prevalence of autism deserves an urgent response by the scientific community. As Bobby said, the NIH has invested a lot of money to study autism over the years, but the research has not produced the answers that families and parents of autistic children deserve, and autistic children themselves deserve. For too long, it's been taboo to ask some questions for fear the scientific work might reveal a politically incorrect answer. Because of this restricted focus in scientific investigations, the answers for families have been similarly restricted, often pointing families to behavioral therapies that don't work for every kid or suggest non-modifiable genetic factors as the cause. But genetics alone can't explain such a sharp rise in autism prevalence over just a few decades, as the president said. In coming months and years, as NIH scientists learn more that can help autistic children and their families, we won't delay. Like scientists often like to do, I can say as a scientist myself, it's really tempting to delay, but but in face of a problem like this, you have to move fast. But we will not delay before telling American people about what we find, and we will win the public trust with transparency and rigor. Already, our broadened focus on autism research has pointed to 2 items that will help families prevent and treat some cases of autism. I'll leave the good news on these 2 items to my close friends and colleagues, Dr. McCary and Dr. Oz. We've been working together closely on this problem for the past 6 months, and our cooperation represents an unprecedented collaboration with Secretary Kennedy's Department of Health and Human Services and with President Trump. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Marty McCary, Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, who will tell you about these announcements of practical help for families with autism.
So I liked hearing from an actual doctor. I wasn't excited to hear from Dr. Oz. I don't think he's a credible doctor. There's a lot of evidence and a lot of things that point to me that Dr. Oz is not an actual credible medicinal doctor. But this dude said a lot of words that I don't understand, and that makes me think that he understands them, so he's probably pretty smart. Is anybody else? Is anybody able to follow everything that dude said? He was confident with it, and he was the best speaker who's come up so far, by far. He stayed right on track, got right to the point. Boom, 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 concise points, laid it out. I understood what he was saying. I just didn't know all the words he was saying. And I think that was probably the best thing that we've heard so far, in my opinion.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Mr. President, this is the start of a historic shift in medical culture. This administration is working together to ask big questions about why our nation's children are getting sick so fast. Too often, medicine is doing small little studies, giving us answers we already knew. But we've got to make a difference. You've given us a charge to identify root causes, and we are not going to stop so that we can end the suffering we are watching. And if you've seen a kid with autism, with severe autism, it's hard to watch. Kids get frustrated, they get angry, they can be crying because they want to speak and they can't speak. It's hard to watch, and it may be entirely preventable. For an epidemiologist, that child is an expanding statistic, but for a child, it can be brutal to have autism. Today, the FDA is taking action to update the label on acetaminophen and sending a letter to all U.S. doctors letting them know about the risks in pregnancy. We now have data we cannot ignore. There's a very large study, the Boston Birth Cohort, with researchers that have, from Johns Hopkins, my former institution, and Boston University, found quote unquote consistent associations between acetaminophen in pregnancy and autism. And the Nurses' Health Study with researchers from Yale, Columbia, and Harvard looking at 9,000 kids found that acetaminophen use in pregnancy was associated with neurodevelopmental disorders. And 4 weeks ago, a Mount Sinai Harvard study reviewed all the existing literature and found the overwhelming body of evidence points to an association. Sure, you'll be able to find a study to the contrary. That's how science works. But to quote the dean of the Harvard School of Public Health, there is a causal relationship between prenatal acetaminophen use and neurodevelopmental disorders of ADHD and autism spectrum disorder. We cannot wait any longer. And honestly, there's been this perfunctory, reactionary, mindless practice in medicine. I learned it in medical school and residency. Just treat all fevers, low-grade fevers, treat them with acetaminophen. Why? What are we doing? A study out of Hopkins actually showed that treating a fever can prolong the duration of illness in a young kid. Maybe that's because a fever is a body's natural way of ridding an infection. When my wife was pregnant and delivered our son a few months ago, they pushed her to take acetaminophen for a low-grade fever. She said no, and then they looked to me and I said, absolutely no. I'm also here
Did he say absolutely new?
to announce good news. Today, the FDA is filing a Federal Register notice to change the label on an exciting treatment called prescription leucovorin so that it can be available to children with autism. You know, autism may also be due to an autoimmune reaction to a folate receptor on the brain, not allowing that important vitamin to get into the brain cells. It's a fairly established, mature pathway. Again, we have a duty to let doctors and the public know we are going to change the label to make it available. Hundreds of thousands of kids, in my opinion, will benefit. One study found that with kids with autism and chronic folate deficiency, 2/3 of kids with autism symptoms had improvement, and some marked improvement. Mr. President, you told us to do what's medical.
So I want to talk about this real quick. Get Your Cray Cray On said, why are we focusing on autism? We need to focus on mental illness like schizophrenia. So look, I think that autism is way more prevalent than schizophrenia. I think we should address all of these things. Like, I think all of these things are important things that we need to address. But clearly we're going to go with something that is like obviously more prevalent and affecting more people. I don't think it should be whataboutism. I think that honestly, all of these things deserve being addressed, but you know, you have to focus your efforts on one thing at a time in some of these situations. And this is a really good place to start. Hopefully we start addressing some of these things because I do believe that there are effects that are happening because of all of the pharmaceuticals that our country is being, you know, encouraged constantly to take. And also then it affects the environmentals because we're taking these things and then we're pissing them out and they're going into our water supply. You know, I think that looking into what effects this is having is very prevalent, you know, and I agree with you that we should be looking into other things as well. But I mean, schizophrenia is like, and autism is as far as people who it's affecting.
Right to go bold and not worry about the corporations and the lobbyists. So that's what we're here doing today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. I think you all appreciate the passion in the president's voice. We've been hearing that since the inauguration. In fact, even before the inauguration, the president was upset about what he spoke to today. And so together with Secretary Kennedy, who's made it his life's work to address some of these challenges with autism, they challenged us. In fact, they were harsher than that. They wanted no silos to break down what the NIH would do, what the FDA would do, what CMS would do. They insisted that the physician leaders bust through the clutter because their agencies had the power. If we didn't do what every other prior administration had done, which is to let people function within their siloed environments. Because of that, in historic fashion and a very accelerated manner, we have a response today to the autism crisis. It is the first of several chapters, but this is breaking news. You've heard some of it. The response to the autism crisis is going to continue to come to you under Secretary Kennedy's leadership, and the president wouldn't have it any other way, as you've heard. The FDA.
I'm sorry, I'm not that interested in what this dude has to say. I don't like this dude. But like, when I say one thing at a time, I mean, as far as the president and our government's focus on this press conference, of course, there's plenty of scientists that could be studying all of these things all at the same time. I don't think that every scientist in the country who specializes in this field should be studying just one, mental disorder at a time. But that's why I think the focus of this press conference is on this today.
Based on NIH research, is approving prescription leucovorin for treatment of autistic children. Now, if you're following the script, there should be two questions that you have, two questions that should come to your mind. The first is, how will patients and parents get access to the treatment? I'll tell you how. Over half of American children are covered by Medicaid and CHIP, government health insurance, over half. And therefore, because they're covered in Medicaid and CHIP, upon this label change by Marty, state Medicaid programs in partnership with CMS will cover prescription leucovorin around the country. It's yours, but you have to go to a doctor to get a prescription because they know your child, they know you, and they know the medication. States will also have tools to monitor its use and ensure appropriate utilization. That's important for a bunch of reasons because we want the right kids getting the right prescription medications. We believe private insurance companies will rapidly follow our lead if they have not already done so. And again, to make sure that this is safe and effective treatment, you need a physician to prescribe the medication because it's on prescription. Second big question. How are we going to collect clinical data to answer the big questions that the president's asking and the secretary insists that we offer? CMS is also issuing guidance to convene states and existing research networks to support NIH and FDA in their research efforts of prescription leucovorin, while also maintaining the privacy of all patients, all health information of our beneficiaries. Collecting real-world data, which is what many of you have been asking us to do in the community, is fast, it is life-saving, and we'll get answers based on what happens over the next few months with this approach. The aggressive approach, and it is aggressive, demanded by the president and by the secretary, have already identified risk factors and opened the door for the first FDA-recognized treatment pathway for autism. It is the first of its kind, and it wouldn't have happened without the leadership of the president and the secretary. The fivefold increased prevalence of autism over the past 25 years demands a rapid response. The average clinician, researcher, we spoke to many, thought it would take 5 years to get this data. Parents are unwilling to wait 5 years. The president is unwilling to wait 5 years for these results. So the president and the secretary are acting today with this tri-agency move. The administration's bold actions investing in groundbreaking research follow the science, they restore trust, which has been lacking, and they will change the trajectory for millions of American families.
So, Fred, U.S. Marines, good to see you, my friend. Love you, brother. So glad that you're here with us today. Thank you for checking in. Punk 611 said, I need to see a study. I recommend anybody look into the actual studies and not just trust the people that we're seeing on the screen. I don't recommend trusting any government officials or any doctors that stand with them. Do your research. Check into these things. 1000%. We should always be double checking them. We should always be researching them. I don't think any government is trustworthy.
Mr. President, God bless you for being brave. So let me introduce Dr. Fink, who's acting administrator. And after Dr. Fink, we've got some wonderful women, Jackie and Amanda. I know it's going to be tough, but if you can make some comments about this historic day, God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity to speak with all of you today. As a pediatrician and mom, I'm here today to talk about what this announcement means for the millions of moms and dads who are faced with the choice of whether to take acetaminophen during pregnancy. It's hard to hear information that challenges the status quo. We are sharing this information not to confuse, but to empower parents to make the best choices when taking medications during pregnancy. We are all concerned about the rising rates of neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism. President Trump and Secretary Kennedy are dedicated to radical transparency so that patients have the best, most up-to-date information. We are also sharing this information with our nation's doctors, and we encourage you, as always, to consult with your doctor to make the best decision for you. All too often, it's easy to think that medicines we buy without a prescription pose little to no risk for the mom or the baby. As you heard today, pregnant women who need high fever or pain reduction during pregnancy should take the lowest effective dose of acetaminophen for the shortest possible duration.
I feel like we are just getting into a point where they are just repeating the same thing. I think we've heard the important stuff here. I don't want to continue to just watch this press conference while people just repeat the same information over and over and over again. I think that's super boring. I think we got the answers as to what they were going to be announcing. If anybody feels like they really need to see what it is that they're talking about, you're more than welcome to jump over there and continue to watch the press conference. I just feel like it's getting repetitive. I wanted to show you guys something real quick, if you guys wouldn't mind. Let me see real quick. Screen. I wanted to show you, a lot of people have been asking for this, and so I wanted to show you that I heard you. And we've done it, man. So this is bunkerbranding.com. This is where my merch is. Same place as the Unsubscribed Podcast Boys, Brandon Herrera, Fat Electrician, Donut Operator, Eli Double Tap, Angry Cops, Veteran with the Sign. And a lot of people have been asking me to bring back the Wood Chipper 2024, but to update it since it's not 2024 anymore. And, you know, we had the Wood Chipper 2024 hat and shirt. We actually only had a tank top. We never had t-shirts before. If you want to be a part of the Wood Chipper party and make pedophiles afraid again, this is your opportunity to grab this merch if you want to. This is shameless self-promotion, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me here, but I know a lot of people asked for it. We have the tank top and the shirt, and we also have the hats, which they have clearly not put up yet. The hats are lit because I found one that's like a weird American flag that I think is super sick, and I can't wait to show you guys. But this is it, man. We have the Wood Chipper 2028 merch back up and available now. If anybody wants to jump in and grab that, that's at bunkerbranding.com. And there is a link in my bio if you want to get to hitting the wrong buttons. There we go. Okay. So I want to read these supers, man, because I love you guys. We had Jacob, much love from Kentucky, bro. You rock. Watch you every day. Jacob, I love you, and I love me some Kentucky, my guy. Nathanson, Ecclesiastes, there's time for everything, bro. I feel like we already read some of these. Gravita said, JD, what are your personal beliefs on religion or Christianity? Do you think the benefits for our nation? Side note, I love your work and God bless, man. So my personal beliefs is that I have a relationship with God. I do not really like the structure of religions. I don't like the structure of churches. I don't like that people build hierarchies because I think that that's counterintuitive to the teachings of Jesus Christ himself. As far as our nation, while I do believe that there's the separation of church and state, I think that having good and moral leaders who believe in something outside of themselves is very important. Imran said there's an episode from a new show where a pedophile who has resigned or who has reined his lust in for 60 years, never hurt a kid, and decided at the end of the hospital because he couldn't handle it, to end himself in the hospital because he couldn't handle it anymore. Thoughts? So I think there's like this big thing. There's a lot of people who call themselves virtuous pedophiles. And they're people who were born with a predilection towards children. The same way that if you're straight, I can't convince you to want to guzzle a dong. And if you're gay, I can't convince you that you want to go out and munch veg. I think that people are born pedophiles. And while I completely understand that being born with something, an affliction, is horrific and everything, I don't think that there are risks that we should be taking as a society. But I do think that it requires them actually acting on that, unfortunately, to be able to give them consequences. I think what we need is way stiffer consequences, public consequences. I believe in public executions. And I think that that will really incentivize people to not put their dick where it doesn't belong. That's my personal take. Backwoods Templar, attacking each other is what they want. If you got clean, this old dealer's kid is proud of you. And I got a nephew on the spectrum, and I love him dearly. I love you so much, and I'm so glad that you're here. Tinhead, the train-tism missed me. I got something worse. 3D printing and design-tism. Bro, I got friends that 3D print shit, and they're absolutely lit, homie. Mobstopper said, sending love to everyone. We need more of that in this country. Absolutely, Mobstopper. Full chest agree. Foxglow said, notice the painting on the wall behind the podium of the president is most commonly thought to be autistic. The bull moose himself. I did not even recognize that, bro. Good call. Joel, hopeful for Trump's speech, but expected to be disappointed. Parent of a nonverbal child, and this is 15 years too late. I just pray we can continue forward to honor him. Facts, bro. Facts. And to all the autism parents out there, I understand what you're going through. You're doing an incredible job, and I'm proud of you. James Ellis, Chucky Allure, our day will come, born in Connemara. Love you, bro. Hell yes. Shane Butler. Hey, JD, I have level 1 autism. Okay, we read this, Shane. Yeah, and you are so loved, bro. Roman Wolf Gaming. I think COVID vaccines did something here. Well, you know, I think that autism was on the rise before COVID vaccines. COVID vaccines were not, me personally, I never got vaccinated. I feel like anytime my government is pushing me to do something medically that doesn't make sense to me, I'm going to push back with my full fucking weight, dog. I did not trust it. What do you guys think? Did anybody here get the vaccine, and did you notice any adverse effects? Please let me know in the chat. Raziel, my son is bedbound autistic epileptic and also has a trach and G-tube and scoliosis. I work underneath the new House Bill 391 to take care of him from home. Yes, for a pill. Well, that's awesome that you're able to work with your kid at home. I think that's beautiful. And yeah, I love hearing that from parents. No, way before the COVID vaccines, I got vaxxed and boosted and had no side effects or issues since. Ancient Soul said it killed my mom. I'm so sorry. Carly never took the jab. I did, and I only had a little headache. Wolf Angel said, fuck no. Fred Marine said, I got the vaccines and no, I don't feel anything. So you guys know the Alaskan Avenger, Jason Vukovic. So when he was in prison, they told those dudes in Alaska that you can, if you don't get the jab, that you cannot have your visits. They were taking people's visits away from them. So he got the jab. And after he got the jab, they still never returned to in-contact visits. So it was still just through, a screen to be able to visit your people. So felt very disingenuous and like a trick. But whatever vaccine they gave him, he ended up getting really super sick and it almost killed him. So I know a lot of other people who got really sick when they got the vaccine. So that's kind of why I was asking. A lot of people saying I got vaxxed and boosted, no issues. I had coworkers get sick after the jab. True blood here. One love, one light. Jessica Stone, welcome. We're glad to have you here in this community and we love you, sis. New sub, hell yeah. Since the vaccine boosters, I've had COVID twice. My fibromyalgia has worsened. I am so sorry to hear that. So me and someone close to me, they got the vax. I didn't. I was around them every day. They ended up getting sick the same time I got sick. They had it before. It was way worse after the vaccine. And after the first time I got COVID, because I've had it 3 times, it was never as bad as the first time. Never as bad as the first time. And no vax. So that's my personal experience to share with you guys. Abby said, look into JFK and the vaccine. He caused children vaccine death he caused children on an island. Dozens of kids died from vaccine preventable disease because of him. Crazy. I'll have to look into that, Abs. Elena said, hey, JD, finally went and got psych testing so I could be medicated properly. I wanted to say thank you for giving me the courage to do so. Love you and Jax. We are so proud of you, sister. That is awesome. Hell yes. And there's I don't know how long it's been a thing, but they can actually do genocyte testing now to tell what medications you're going to interact with poorly and what you're going to interact with well. But a lot of doctors aren't pushing it because it's expensive and a lot of insurance companies don't want to pay for it. But Jax went and got psych geno testing, and she was able to get lined up with medications. Like, she has a chart of medications she'll do well with and ones she won't do well with, which has been a godsend for anybody out there who's tried, medications for things and it had negative effects or, whatever. That is always an option you can look into. Pin King. This furthers a study from 2016 about Tylenol. And a lot of people were saying this isn't a new study. V-Damn Source Rescue. RFK said it was a vaccine injury that caused it. Okay, I might have been wrong about him eating he does eat weird shit. We all know he eats weird shit. But yeah, you might be correct on that. Abby, there's an aspect of before autistic kids, adults were locked away. Now we see them more in society and online. Before they were hidden in institutions. And that is factual. And they ran tests on them, like crazy shit like lobotomies and shit like that. Which is why, when we talk about bringing back asylums, there is a stigma around asylums, and that's 100% fair. Because asylums used to do really inhumane treatments on people and experiments on people. And we need to make sure that if we do bring back asylums, that they're not a place where we are dehumanizing people and treating them terribly. But we do need to get some of these people off the fucking streets, because some of the things that are happening are wildly preventable. And it's also not humane to leave some of these people on the streets because they just end up in prisons. And their life in prison is worse than it would be for somebody who doesn't have those psychological mental health issues going on. Beetle, what's up, JD? What's up with you, bro? So good to see you today. Be Patient said, thanks for all you do, brother. Thank you, and I love you. Intellectual iconoclasm. What about wood chipper party yard signs? I will look into yard signs. I will absolutely do that. That is a good idea I hadn't even thought of. And Nathanson said, yeah, you read mine when you started. Love you, bro. Fuck around and find out. Appreciate you, my guy. Well, you guys, I think that we got kind of the answer as to what is going on with this whole press conference. I'm not sure how much weight I put in just blaming acetaminophen for autism. It seems, I don't know. Maybe it might be a contributing factor. I don't know. I want to see the studies because I don't believe anything that comes out of the White House. And I haven't for a long time. I would encourage everybody, anytime you hear anything from a politician, take it with a grain of salt, do your own research, investigate it yourself to the best of your ability, and see what you can find and form, researched, informed decisions on things. We're going to jump off here, but until the next one, I really appreciate you guys riding out with us. And it's always one love, baby. Be good or be good at it.